What is up, everybody? Luke Film Boss here, and today I'm going to be ranking every single 2023 movie that I saw, excluding the top 10 worst, which I already ranked in another video. I'm going to be ranking these movies in order of worst to best, and I've already talked about most of these movies in my reviews, so I'm going to go through the majority of them very quickly until I get to the top 10, and I'll talk a little bit more about those films. So with that, let's get started. In 37th place is The Marvels with a 67%. 36 is The Little Mermaid with a 68. Next is Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken with a 70%. The Meg 2 with a 71%. A Man Called Otto with a 71% as well. In the 32nd spot is the Super Mario Bros. Movie with a 72%, which is actually 2% more than I originally had it when I did the review. Next is Elemental with a 73. Rounding out the 30s is Trolls Band Together with a 75%. In 29th place with a 77% is Asteroid City. Nimona takes 28th place with a 78%. Next is Journey to Bethlehem with an 80%. Then comes in Blue Beetle with an 81%, No Hard Feelings with an 81%, and the third 81% is Cocaine Bear. In 23rd place with an 82% is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. One of the most recent films to come out made it to the 22nd place. It's Wonka with an 83%. In 21st place is Fast X with an 84%, which might seem high, but I just thought it was a lot of fun. Rounding out the top 20 is The Creator with an 84%. In 19th place is Joyride with an 84%. Napoleon made it to 18th% with an 85%. In 17th place is The Flash with an 85%. Number 16 goes to The Shift with an 86%. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem comes in 15th place with an 88%. Sound of Freedom comes in at number 14 with an 88%. Priscilla comes in at 13th place with an 88% as well. Starting off the list of movies that made it to a 90% or higher is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 with a 90%. And just narrowly missing the top 10 is Megan with a 90%. Starting off the top 10 is Killers of the Flower Moon with a 90%. This is just a very well-directed movie by Martin Scorsese. From a technical standpoint, there's not a lot that you can say is wrong with the film. However, from a writer's perspective, there are a few things that hold this movie back and make it less emotionally resonating than it could have been. But in the end, it's just a really fantastic film directed by one of the most talented filmmakers in Hollywood. In 9th place with a 90% is The Hunger Games: Ballad of the Songbird and Snakes. This is just a fantastic movie. It's got great characters, great visuals, and the thing that really stands out for me in this movie is the story and the themes, where it really asks the question what human beings are. Are we instinctive, primal creatures that just try to survive, or is there something more to us and is life really precious? In 8th place is Creed 3 with a 91%. Now, this is definitely one of the best character dramas on this list. It's not so much focused on plot or world building as it is on the individual characters, and that character mainly being Adonis Creed. He wants to be a good father, a good husband, and then his old friend from his past, Damien, comes in, and then he wants to be a good friend, and it all comes tumbling down when he realizes that there's some betrayal there with Damien, and Damien tries to take everything that Adonis built and has accomplished and kind of defame him. And it's very interesting. It creates a lot of emotional tension. There's a lot of good themes here, like regret and betrayal. And it ends in this really good conclusion where you feel the emotional stakes and the conflict between what was once friends who end up becoming enemies. And it's just fantastic. In 7th place with a 91% is Oppenheimer. Now, this is a straight-up masterpiece. Nolan did a fantastic job. The cinematography, the storytelling, the writing in general is so interesting and just keeps you engaged throughout. However, emotionally, I don't think this movie quite hits the right mark, at least for me. So in terms of enjoyment, it actually would have been outside the top 10 for me, but it would have been very close. If I rewatch it, I might actually find that I liked it more, and so in terms of enjoyment, it actually might go up for me. As of now, it sits at 7th place due to the fact that I didn't connect with this film quite the same way I did with some others, but it's still a masterfully made film. It is definitely one of the best films of the year. In sixth place with a 92% is Jesus Revolution. Now, this is a movie that definitely did resonate with me emotionally. I think it's fantastic. It's a very good looking film. It's very well written. The characters are all fun. And at its core, for me as a Christian, it's just very powerful to see a well made movie that showcases what happens when people decide to go out into the world preaching the gospel rather than casting away everybody who's different, who isn't living rightly. This movie showcases what happens when you accept them in as they are to help them become free and to receive that goodness that Christ offers to everybody. It's just a powerful film. It also showcases what happens when we get prideful and what happens when we end up being humble. It's a very fantastic film. I would recommend it to anybody, and it definitely makes the top 10 of the year. In fifth place is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with a 92%. This was a fantastic film to end the trilogy of Guardians of the Galaxy. It is an emotional roller coaster full of happy and sad and heartbreaking and hilarious. It is the perfect blend of all these weird ideas that shouldn't work together but just end up doing. It's lighthearted, but yet it's also super dark at the same time. And being that it follows the stories of these characters that we have known to grow and love, and then gives them even more layers through this film, giving them more history, the character dynamics and relationships cause tension. There's so much going on here. It's just a fantastic film, expertly written. Maybe there were some flaws in the writing, but in the end, it's a very solid finale. In fourth place with a 93% is The Color Purple. Visually, this is a gorgeous masterpiece. I would definitely say it's got the best cinematography for any film that came out this year. It's also got amazing production design. The color palette and everything is just vibrant and alive. Everything just keeps moving. The pacing is fantastic. The musical numbers are great. They work for both the story, the visuals, the characters. It's all fantastic. And I love from a story perspective how prominent God is in the story. This movie is really about how God works in the background, even in the midst of trauma and terrible situations. He's working it all out for good. It's a powerful story. It's got emotional characters. It's got humor. It's got drama. It's got suspense. There's so much here. It's an all-around package deal. It's what cinema is supposed to be, and it's fantastic. In third place is Barbie with a 93%. This might be a hot take, but Barbie is downright fantastic, and it's more brilliant than it has any right to be. Not to mention the movie is hilarious. It is a comedy by genre, but that doesn't mean that it takes it too far and makes everything a joke. It actually takes a lot of time to resonate emotion through the characters and through the themes. Overall, it's the perfect satire, in my opinion, where it takes the goofy ideas and kind of showcases how absurd the entire sexism gender war is, and then it brings it around and tells the story that showcases how both men and women are important and valuable, and that there's different things that make them different, but all together we are special. There is something unique about being human. And yes, there's not always going to be equality, but we can always fight to make the world better. Not entirely equal, but make a better society. There are so many other things about the Barbie film that I could go into of why it's great and why I personally love it. It's so intricate and clever and has so many good themes and ideas portrayed in the film that I just don't have time to talk about in this ranking. But it's fantastic. It's also one of the most fun and entertaining films of the year, and that's why it's so high up on my list. It is just a blast to watch. In second place is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with a 94%. This film, in a few words, is art insane. It's crazy. The story, the characters, the writing, the dialogue, the visuals are insane. The action is exhilarating. It's a fantastic film, and it's smart. It's emotional. There's so many things that I could just talk about this film that I can't talk about in detail in this ranking, but it is fantastic. I don't know why anybody who watches this movie would not like it. It is just downright the most incredible thing that has come out this year, except for one movie. In first place is Godzilla Minus One with a 95%. I don't know how, but this movie is just downright phenomenal. I loved the movie. The movie is fantastic. The visuals are spectacular, but there's not always something visually striking on screen at all times. It's a very slow but well-paced movie. It kind of builds the pieces with both the characters, with the suspense, with Godzilla kind of being there, but not at all times. Like, it's not just constantly fighting Godzilla. There's a lot of moments, actually the majority of the film, I think, is just with the characters. While there is a lot of good Godzilla action and destruction here, it all is played out in favor of the story, which is a very character-driven story, and there's a lot of good moments here that create, reasonable motivations for why the humans want to kill Godzilla, even beyond the fact that he just puts the world in danger. And it ends with one of the most emotionally satisfying endings I have ever seen. Like, this movie about fighting Godzilla got me to sob my eyes out more than any movie has in probably the last 5 or more years. This movie, this internationally made Godzilla monster movie, got me so invested in the characters that with the finale ending the way it did, the ending was so good. I don't want to spoil it, but I was literally in the theater, like, I couldn't stop the waterworks. It was the most fantastic movie experience I have had in a long time. So there you have my list of the movies that came out in 2023. I hope you all enjoyed. Please comment down below what your top picks for the best movies of 2023 are. Please like and subscribe to help out the channel, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss.